Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Wells. I write horror, science fiction, and fantasy, and I talk about games on the internet. Today, I wanted to talk about back to one of my favorite RPGs ever, Star Trek Adventures. Um, the thing I want to talk about today is the narrator's screen, the game master screen. I think that of the very many supplements that exist for this game, if you want to play it, this is your second purchase after the core book is to buy this. I am not in general a huge Game Master screen guy. I don't tend to use them very often. But first of all, for the Modifius 2D20 system, they are incredibly valuable because I always forget what all the different momentum spends are and things that I can do with threat and so on. And the Game Master screen has a bunch of that in there. Second of all, this has so many great handouts that it's absolutely worth your time. The first time that I ran this game, I immediately went online and I found some kind of fan-made handouts. When I ran this at a convention last year, I printed out my own so that everyone would know exactly what they could do with momentum and what the different actions that they could take were, as especially as people on the crew. When you get into Starship combat, and I talked about this in my review, that review will be linked down in the comments and at the end of the video. I said that this game has a fantastic set of Starship combat rules. That Starship combat it uses the same core system as everything else. You know, you use the same dice, you're doing the same things, but it gives the different members of the crew something that they can do during Starship combat, so that it just doesn't turn into the captain and maybe the helm doing everything, and then the science officer has to sit in the back twiddling his thumbs and wait for the next scene. This game answers that by giving everybody something useful to do every round in combat. And this Game Master screen has a handout for every job, kind of for every officer, which is wonderful. So anyway, we'll get into that. But first, let's talk about this. This image that you see up in the corner here, bing, that is sort of kind of that's a portion of the art side of the Game Master screen. Let's show you the rest of it. It's that. And the Game Master screen is enormous. This is going to be revealing my age more than my gray beard and bald head already do, but it's about the size and thickness of an old record case for a record player. So if you're into vinyl, this is about what this looks like. Let's see how well you can see this if I scoot back. It's a tri-panel thing, and it folds out, and it's enormous. Okay? For comparison, here is the Game Master screen for Conan. Same company, same game system. This is actually a 4-panel screen, and it folds out as well. The Star Trek version is not only taller, but it's wider. Not by much, but by a little bit. So here, putting them on top of each other and lining up a corner, you can see that this one, that's about the difference that you're getting there at the end is about that. 1.5 inches of width and a little inch on the side. So whereas the standard Game Master screen, at least for Modifius, is like a 4-panel rectangle, this Star Trek one is a 3-panel square, and it's really humongous, but it has a lot of really great information on it. So that's what it looks like. Inside of it, let's get in and show you this. I actually am going to show you the printer-friendly PDF instead of the standard PDF, just because you can see a little better. Let's actually take a look at, ding. So there's what it looks like in real life. Okay, there's the 3 huge panels, and they are just filled to the brim with information. But I suspect that this printer-friendly one is going to be a little easier to look at when we are here online. So it kind of runs through the standard things. You know, this is how the difficulty works for the dice. This is how opposed tests work, complications. This is how you can get extra dice to add to a check, kind of things like that. Okay? Simple game basics. And then it says when you get into a conflict, whether that's a battle or a negotiation or starship combat or whatever, these are the kinds of things you can do on your turn. It's not everything. This is the overview for the game master. And then, well, we have all that momentum we can spend. Remind me again what we're supposed to spend that on? Well, here's some little things you can spend that on. Then we get into more specific things. If we're in combat, I can spend some momentum to keep the initiative, to disarm somebody. All of these things that players tend to forget. They're right on here. What do the different damage types do? This was the lifesaver for me. I could never remember exactly what Vicious did and exactly what Area did. They're all right there. Excuse me. And so on, all these extra things, kind of the basic weapons and attacks, basic NPC special abilities that are super valuable to have close at hand. So it's really great. And here we have all of that same information on the core thing. And I don't know if I can, okay, zoom in a little bit and you can kind of see those better. What you can do with determination points, what you can do with momentum points, all of that stuff. It's a really great thing. But, like I said, there's other stuff that makes this really arguably even more valuable than just the Game Master screen itself. So first, it comes with a map. Gigantic fold-out poster map of the entire Star Trek universe. Okay? Well, I won't say the entire Star Trek universe. It's basically just some alpha and beta quadrant stuff. It doesn't really get into gamma and delta on the map, but it has the Romulan Empire, the Klingon Empire, and the Cardassian Union, and all these other things. That's the same map that is inside of the book. And let's go back to our big view and show you the inside front cover of the core book includes portions of that map. And they're doing their best to include it all. But you can see right up here in the corner, that's Earth. And Earth is kind of sort of the center of the Star Trek universe, a little Earth-centric in that way. And so, like, this is the inside front cover, which is showing all this Alpha Quadrant stuff, the Cardassian Union over here in Cardassia, Deep Space Nine is right there. And if you go all the way, let's show this off, to the back, the inside back cover, then you get up here behind the picture of me is where Earth is in the corner, and then there's the Romulan Empire, there's the Klingon Empire, and there's all that stuff. The great thing then about having this map is if you need a map, you have all of it. End to end, the entire thing, and so you can show players the distances between things. You can show players exactly what, if they can't remember who the Tsenkethi are or the Breen or something important like that, if they have blocked Star Trek Insurrection from their minds completely and you want to say, no, the Baku is a real thing and it's right here on the map, then you've got this whole thing and that can help out. Maps are not, again, incredibly vital to the playing of a Star Trek game, but they're fun to have. And if you want one, the one in the Game Master's kit is going to absolutely be the thing you need. And I call it the Game Master's kit. In their website, it's actually just marked as the Game Master's screen. We can show that to you a little bit. The Game Master's screen, and it includes all that stuff. So let's go back to this view right here, and now I'm going to show you the best part of it. And like I said, it's those reference sheets that we hand out. So these are all kind of good cardstock. They're not floppy paper. They're not going to rip and tear. They're fairly sturdy, and there's a bunch of them, and they're double-sided, really well printed. Standard Star Trek LCARS design where it's white text on a black background, which I know bothers some people. I love it. If you're into dark mode on your phone, then these handouts are perfect for you. Um, and there are printer-friendly versions of them if you get the uh, the PDF, as I showed you earlier on the Game Master screen. So there's this. First of all, you get this basic conflict reference thing. You know, what can I do in combat? What kind of minor actions are there? What can I do, once we get into a fight? Because most people think, well, all I can do in a fight is attack or hide. Well, no, you can guard people. You can direct. A commanding officer can actually give their action to somebody else in this game because they're a commanding officer. That's what they do. Recovering is vital in the 2D20 system because that is kind of how you can heal yourself in the middle of a fight. All these other things that you can do. And then, of course, a quick rundown of how attacks and damage work. The flip side of this is all the things you can do with momentum, both in personal combat and in Starship combat. And so this is vital. There's one of these handouts that you will be able to share around the table. Okay? But then there are all the other ones. And there's so communications, helm and navigation, security and oversight, sensors and internal systems, and then the commanding officer reference. And so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these, and they're incredibly vital. All 5 of them have, on one side, this rules summary, which is the basic thing. How do tasks work? How do I buy extra dice? What can I do with momentum? And so on. Okay? So this is the basic handout that everybody needs to know in order to play the game. Great, but what if I'm the captain of the ship or the first officer or whatever, and we get into a fight? What can I do? Well, first of all, we're going to fill as much of this page with LCAR's graphic design as we can. But second, we're going to show you those minor actions, and then here are some command-specific things. Okay? We get into communications. There's actually a ton of tasks. Your communications officer or your systems officer, your operations guy, is going to be saying, well, what can I do in a fight? You can do a crap load of stuff in a fight. You can try to override things. You can hail. You can respond to hail. You can jam signals in the middle of a fight that makes it harder for the other ship to target your ship. There is a lot of really great stuff you can do, including rerouting power, regenerating shields, all kinds of awesome stuff that really helps it feel like a Star Trek spaceship battle, or not even a battle so much as this is the kind of thing that could also happen when you encounter a weird anomaly in space or some kind of super powerful entity. And so instead of just straight up combat, you're trying to figure out, well, what do we do? This nebula is ruining our systems, it's hurting our sensors, it's destroying our shields. Everybody gets to pitch in, and everybody then has actions they can do. Helm and navigation, obviously in combat, they've got a lot of great things they can do. Evasive actions, attack patterns, go to warp, impulse speed, ramming speed. But then also your navigations guy. There's things they can do, plotting a course and charting hazards. Your security, clearly there's a lot of things they can do in the middle of a fight, like raise and lower the shields. They can fire the weapons. They can use the tractor beam. They can also send security teams if you get boarded, if there's a problem on ship. So there's a lot of stuff they can do. And then the sensors people as well. They can do a lot of stuff with the shields and with power. They can probe and do scans. So whether your character is, the Harry Kim or the Tom Paris or the Tuvok, regardless of which bridge position you are filling, there are tons of things that you can do. And I talked about the science officer, those science officers or the medical officers who are probably not even on the bridge. They might be in some other part of the ship. There's still a lot of this stuff they can do. That sensors guy or the science guy can jump on the sensors, and then the medical officer can be in the background helping out, doing more sensor stuff. They can be helping with the borders. They can be doing some of these tasks as well. So there is a lot of really great stuff that this Game Master's screen has. that can help you and your players play the game uh, without having to constantly check the rule book, without constantly having to ask, what can I do in battle? And what can I spend momentum on? How can I contribute to this fight? All of those questions go away with these really handy references that let you just play the game and feel like Star Trek. What can I do? Well, I can scan the enemy ship. I can scan this anomaly. I can raise the shields. I can lower the shields. I can do all of these things. How do I spend momentum? Well, we know all of that too. So I really enjoy this Game Master screen and the handouts that come with it. So like I said, if you want to get into this game, the Game Master screen is absolutely the second purchase that I would make after the core book. And you can get that physical, which is great because then you have the huge fold-out map and the big giant screen and everything, or you can get the PDF and then just print this stuff out for your players and have it for them. Um, there are a lot of fan-made handouts as well. You can absolutely just do your own, like I did at that first convention where I ran the game. But I haven't seen any fan handouts that I like as much as these. They've taken the extra steps to do the specific, well, this is going to be the sensors handout and this is going to be the commander's handout. Instead of just giving everybody a generic one, here are the things that your character can do based on the officer training that you have. So it's a really great system, and it's a really neat little thing. So, hooray for that. This is, as I keep saying, Star Trek Adventures, one of my very favorite role-playing games of all time, and certainly, at least right now, the one that I am most excited to play and run. And wonderful handouts like these and the accurate tone and feeling they give that really recreates the feel of Star Trek is what makes it so great. So, A+, little sup. Please check it out, and I hope that you love it as much as I do. Thank you very much, and I will see you later.